I'll stop it after we're done. Okay, sounds good. And then try saving it. There's a way you can save it pretty sure.
Alright guys, we're going to get started here. Let's begin in prayer in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us all here tonight, whatever that might have looked like. We just pray that we can leave all of our anxieties, all of our just emotions, whatever might be going on in our busy lives right now, just to leave them at the door and to be fully present tonight. We just pray that we can really listen to Craig's talk, hear what it is that you're calling us to hear from it. As we pray, Hail Mary.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Awesome. So we have the privilege of having Craig Stammen with us tonight. Craig's from North Star, graduate from Versailles. He's drafted by the Washington Nationals in 2005. But the Nationals was at the Indians for a year, and then has been with the Padres the last few years. He has 2 children. A girl was just born about a little over a month ago, and yeah, let's give him a hand.
Thanks a lot. You know what? I always love coming to Mercer County because as soon as I cross the county line, they forget how to pronounce my last name. Not to make fun of you, but Stammen turns into Stammen really fast. So I go by both, so don't worry about it. I think way back, my great-grandpa Leo Stammen said, no, I don't want to be called a Stammen anymore, and I want to be called a Stammen, and that's how. Now it's confusing for us all. But anyway, it's great to see such an awesome group of young adults out here wanting to spend time getting closer to Jesus. It's pretty neat that you guys can meet like this as often as you do. I didn't know anything about your guys' group until I got here, and this is pretty special to see. You know, sometimes you wonder, you know, as I have gone so far away, you know, if the faith is still coming up like our parents, you know, raised us. And it's awesome to see that you guys are carrying on that tradition, carrying on that culture, putting the Lord first. So growing up, I grew up in North Star. You guys probably all know where that's at, little small town. Whenever I play with my teammates, they say, yeah, I'm from a small town. I said, oh, really? You're from a small town? And I said, how small a town? No, 5,000, 7,000 people. I go, oh, yeah, I'm from a town of 200 people. You know, they start laughing. So we all share that in common. And so North Star, grew up there, went to St. Louis Parish. That was the Catholic church I grew up in. My parents raised us in the faith. My mom did Bible studies every Friday morning with some of the moms that didn't work. We would play baseball down in the basement, football, whatever. We probably caused more noise than we needed to do at the time. So I was raised in the faith, much like a story that you guys probably know all too well. Raised in the faith, very important. We prayed all the time. Church was a big part of what we did. Getting to know Jesus, reading the Bible, that was something that my mom and dad made sure was very important to our family. Moving on from that, it was important to our family, but for my whole entire growing up, and I think this is what you guys are in this age group, what you're experiencing is your faith is tied to your parents. My faith was directly tied to my parents. You know, we prayed when they said to pray. We read the Bible when they said to read the Bible. Went to church when they said to go to church. You know, if they said I could skip out on CCD class, I probably would have skipped out on CCD class. You know what I'm saying? You know, if I had basketball practice, I went a little, 10 minutes longer because I was throwing up a few more three-pointers. You know what? I showed up 3 or 4 minutes late, right? But my faith wasn't my own. It was tied to my parents. And as I got older, I realized that, hey, guess what? Mom and Dad's not going to be with me in college. Mom and Dad's not going to be with me whatever I do after college. Mom and Dad's not going to be with me even if I live in North Star the rest of my life, never move out, work in North Star Hardware, and baseball's never an option, right? And I think that's probably, you guys can all relate to that at this point in your lives right now. So kind of what I want to, get my point across is baseball's kind of been the avenue for me where God has basically showed himself to me in many ways. And, as a little 5-year-old, Craig Stammen, what do you want to be? I want to be a professional baseball player, basketball player, football player, okay? Well, one of them came true. Pretty lucky, pretty blessed that is how God decided to show his face to me, which is pretty neat. So I got some baseball stories along the way, but in 3 ways, God has kind of showed himself to me through my baseball career. One, opening doors for me, and that starts with a little story. Back when I was about 18 years old, I was getting ready to decide what college I was going to, and I'm sure you guys all went through this. I was dragging my feet. I had yet to apply to a college. It would have been second semester in my senior year, so I was pretty far behind. Didn't want to take the ACT, all that jazz. I remember I did the University of Dayton application because it didn't require an essay. So I ended up applying to Miami and Ohio State and stuff too, but Dayton was the easiest because it didn't have to do an essay. I was like, man, I can maybe sneak in without having to put too much work in. So that was what I was like looking forward to in college. But once again, my faith was tied to my parents, and my mom, who was a former teacher at Coldwater Junior High, said, hey, I need you to get to college. So let's sit down, let's pray about your future, let's pray about what you want to happen for your future. And, I still had the dreams of a 5-year-old. I wanted to play, some form of sports at the next level. That's all. I didn't care what sport it was. I just wanted a chance. So this was April of my senior year of high school. We sat down. I remember we sat down on the couch. She prayed the prayer. I was like, yes, Lord, that's what I need. I need some guidance, some direction. Take me where you want to. And it wasn't a prayer of like, hey, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. It was just a prayer of, hey, come into my life, take me where you want me to go, direct me where you want me to go. And it was a complete moment of surrender for me to kind of allow that, God to work through me and allow that to happen. So this story goes a little bit faster. I don't want to bore you too much with a lot of the details, but we ended up, I had no college offers to play baseball anywhere until May of my senior year. And it only happened because we were playing Coldwater Cavaliers for the MAC championship. So my senior year was the first year for sales in the MAC. We're playing Coldwater for the MAC championship. I was our second best pitcher on the team. You guys can imagine that. I don't think Corey Lukey, he was never the second best pitcher on the team. He was always the best. I was the second best. We had a guy named Josh Bruns, left-handed pitcher. He was stuck. We had a tournament game the very next day that we were playing Coldwater. So I was our number 2 pitcher. I'm pitching against Coldwater. Their coach happened to be friends with the baseball coaches at the University of Dayton, ironically, kind of crazy. I pitch a good game. He calls them up and says, hey, this kid's already going to go to school at Dayton. You might as well put him on your team as a walk-on. All right? So a week later, they call and say, Craig, we want you to come in for a visit. You always hear about college recruiting visits, right? You get to stay overnight, you get to meet the players, get to meet the coaches, get to tour the facilities, get to take a tour of the campus. They pulled me in the office. It was about a 10-minute conversation. They said, see you later. And they said, you're on the team. And I couldn't have been happier. So college recruitment was nothing that happened to me. But for me, that prayer that we said kind of directed all these things. And you can say, oh, this is just random, Craig, you were a good enough baseball player. But the story goes a little further. About 2 weeks later, I'm playing a Legion baseball game at UD. And the coach, who has never seen me pitch yet, but I'm on his team, gets to see me pitch for the first time. And at this game, University of Michigan's there, Bowling Green, Tiffin, a lot of the Ohio Division I schools are there watching me pitch for the first time. So I did my thing. The only thing I remember about the game, I hit a guy in the head, and I went 1 for 4. So I played, and I was disappointed that I went 1 for 4. I remember thinking that. But we won the game, and after the game, my soon-to-be college head coach, Coach Vittorio, he's about this tall, Italian dude, walks like this, with his chest out, duck foot, speaks a mile a minute, and he's become one of my best friends in the process. But he comes up to my dad and he says, hey, don't let Craig talk to any other colleges. And we're like, what do you mean talk to any colleges? We're going to Dayton. And he's like, just don't worry about it. They call, hang up the phone. All right? And my dad's like, yeah, whatever, okay. So, one college called, I think it was Tiffin, and they wanted me to play shortstop and not pitch. But anyway, we hung up the phone. Okay, so the next day we were having another game there at the tournament at UD, and he comes running up, hey, you need to sign this piece of paper. And we're like, all right, well, what is it? And he's like, this is your letter of intent. So this is what you had to sign because you're not a walk-on anymore. We need to offer you scholarship money because other colleges are going to be interested in you. And I was like, all right, well, how much scholarship money are you giving me? And he said, $2,000. That should cover your first year at Dayton. You guys know what it costs to go to UD now. It was a lot less back then, but it was still expensive. So $2,000 was the first scholarship that I was offered. And as we're signing it, he tells my dad, he says, oh yeah, and I think, Craig's got a bright future. I think he's going to play professional baseball in 3 years. He's not even going to finish his degree at Dayton before he gets drafted. And my dad's was a salesman at North Star Hardware, so he talks to all the farmers around here. They like to give gab, and he's heard a lot of the BS. And I remember he had a sign in his office that said, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And I remember my dad thinking, you got to be kidding me. My son was the number 2 pitcher on his high school team. No college offers. You guys said you didn't have enough scholarship money for him. You just needed him as a walk-on, and now you're telling him he's going to play professional baseball. It's like something doesn't add up here. All right. But my mom's in the background saying, yeah, we prayed about this. This is exactly what was supposed to happen. So when looking back on it, it's the power of one small prayer and God opening a door for me to start my baseball career. And, I can go farther about all the little intricacies of that. Coach Vittorio ends up being my coach all through college, and I get drafted my junior year, just like he predicted. And I remember the day after the draft, he calls me up and says, Craig, I know you're probably going to leave. He goes, I don't know if this matters, but he goes, I'll give you a full ride your last year if you come back. So he went from offering me nothing to offering me a full ride by the time I left in 4 years. I said, no, I got to move on. We're going to go play professional baseball. And that's not where the story ends with Coach Vittorio. He later introduced me to my wife and set me up. So he's Mr. Matchmaker and my college baseball coach. Mr. Matchmaker called me up during the 2014 season, middle of the season, and he says, hey, I just met your future wife. And I go, great, glad you met her. And I had yet to meet her and didn't know who she was. He sends me, typical Coach Vittorio, he sends me her phone number, says, just text her, she'll know who you are. I'm like, I've never met her. I can't just text somebody random. But anyway, he set it up, and the rest is history. We're married and have 2 kids. So no telling what one little prayer does, right? Isn't that crazy? Well, one little prayer can turn your life into around where now I have 2 kids and a wife at North Star, all because of that small prayer sending me to Dayton. All right, the second thing that God's kind of done that's shaped my faith a little bit is He's formed me through some failures. And if you guys are baseball fans, know baseball, failures are a part of the game, right? You see, if anybody watched the World Series, you saw a lot of pitchers give up home runs. You see batters strike out all the time. You see major league infielders that have been the best fielder in their team for their whole entire life, watch one go right through their legs, right? We've all seen that. Baseball's a game of failure. The old saying is a Hall of Famer gets out 7 out of 10 times, right, when he's at the plate. 300 hitter, right? So failures were not uncommon to me also. I've had a few bad games over the years. In fact, the one that comes to mind, I gave up 4 home runs and 7 pitches this past season, if anybody remembers that. All right, that's pretty bad. But anyway, this goes back. This is probably, when I was going for the speech, I was thinking of things that apply to my faith at your guys' age group. So you guys can relate to this. I was 24, and I don't know, that might be a little older than a lot of you guys, but I was 24, so kind of in that same age where I was trying to figure out life, trying to figure out how things were going to work out, trying to do all I could to make it to the major leagues. So I was in the minor leagues, and if you guys, minor league baseball is, you're making, I think at that time I was making $1,100 a month, and that was only for 6 months out of the year. So not a whole lot, not much to live on, right? Barely enough to buy a case of Bud Light if we needed it. So doing that, wandering, going through the minor leagues. I'm playing in Savannah, Georgia, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Frederick, Maryland. You guys name a small little city on the east half of the United States. I've been there and probably played baseball in the stadium there. Anyway, and I've traveled on bus and had 3 or 4 buses break down trying to get to those different places. So the minor leagues is not easy, but it's still playing professional baseball. So you're thinking, man, I'm this close to getting to the major leagues. And the dream I've always had since I was 5 years old. My minor league baseball career started off really good. I was a 12th round pick, so I wasn't a high prospect, but I pitched really well the first couple years and turned into someone that was going to be possibly considered, getting closer to the major leagues. I remember getting a call before the 2007 season saying, hey, if you pitch well this year in the minor leagues, we're going to call you up to the big leagues. And well, 2007 ended up being the worst year I ever had as a pitcher. I walked like 60 guys. I've never walked 60 guys in the last 5 years. It was just a bad season. I had a knee injury. Things were not going well. I just didn't pitch good enough. So I showed up to spring training the next year, 2008, fresh off a knee surgery, feeling good, ready to go, trying to make the Double-A team. And so in spring training, to protect pitchers' arms, you're pitching in a game. If you throw 20 pitches but you haven't got 3 outs, they say roll the inning. So it's like you got out of the inning without getting the 3 outs, just to save your arm. But it's not a really good feeling, right? If you're the pitcher and you used up all your pitches and don't get out of the inning, right? It means you gave up some runs and pitched like crap. All right, so that spring training, I probably pitched 10 to 12 innings. We had to roll about 8 or 9 of those innings. So it was a pretty bad spring training for me. Point where I went from being a starting pitcher on the Double-A roster to basically the last man in the relief of the Single-A roster. All right, so end of spring training, they just delivered the news to all the guys who were getting sent down, called up, moved around, Double-A, Single-A. I'm on the Single-A roster. I'm walking through the Walmart in Vieira, Florida, and man, I'm just like down in the dumps. I'm almost sick to my stomach. I'm like, man, I gotta go home. Baseball's over. I'm not good enough. It's time to move on. I need to make some money. I need to start a life. Blah blah blah. I'm walking through this Walmart, nothing to do in the day, no tea time, and I'm like, I remember praying to myself. I said, Lord, show me something. Tell me where to go. Tell me what to do. What do I need to improve on? How do I got to get this done? And at this point in my life, I didn't read anything. I told you I didn't want to write an essay for a college application, right? I wasn't sure reading any books were fun either. All right, so I'm walking past the book section, ironically, and the book pops out. It says Tony Dungy, Quiet Strength. Okay, I don't know if you guys all know who Tony Dungy is. Shake your heads, yes. If you know who he is, no. If you don't, okay. A lot of no's. He was a football coach. All right, he's an NFL football coach, and he's a strong Christian man. He's a person that, if you're looking for people to follow, to read about, he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys you can get on social media, and he tweets and Instagrams and all that kind of jazz. Good stuff. Football stuff and a lot about the Lord. And so he wrote a book called Quiet Strength. It was right after he had won the Super Bowl with Indianapolis Colts. And he's known for his quiet demeanor, never yelling at his players, kind of always being on the edge of the sideline with his arms crossed, like no emotion, kind of just doing it the silent way. And in his book, he talks about being who you're meant to be and being true to yourself, the John Wooden thing. So being true to himself was like not a rah-rah guy, not an in-your-face, grabbing your face mask, telling you how it is and trying to get the most out of you. He was laid back, talked to his players, with a calm manner, approached his team by telling them about his Christian values and how he was trying to mentor his players along those ways. So I'm reading this book, and I'm like, yeah, why can't I do this? Why can't I be a baseball player like that? Why do I have to worry about throwing 99 miles an hour to make it to the big leagues? I'm little old Craig Stammen from North Star. Like, I throw 91, 92. Why can't I just be the best at throwing 91, 92? And that was a lot of the message in that book, and it was a very good Christian message, too, that went with it. And so Quiet Strength became my kind of rallying cry. I read that book in about 2 days. Hadn't read a book since high school, and read a book in 2 days. It's crazy. And it was the Lord speaking to me directly through that book, through that avenue of, Craig, it's all right to fail. Be who I designed you to be. You are good enough. The gifts I gave you are plenty good enough. I made you specifically in your mom's womb to do exactly what I've decided I want you to do. And that's the truth. All right, so that season starts off, 2008 turns into the best season I've ever had playing. That book turned my complete perspective around. 2008, I have a great year. Parlayed into the beginning of 2009, I get called up to the big leagues in May of 2009. So I went from probably almost being released out of the minor leagues to being in the big leagues within, a little over a year. So pretty cool how I turned my failure into, a success story. And then the third thing I want to talk about is guidance kind of off the field that I've gotten through different interactions with people that have been put into my life because of baseball. So I'll start that part of it with 2014. I was with the Washington Nationals. We were a great team. Led the league in wins. I think we had 95, 96 wins that year. Best team in baseball. But the best part about that team is we had a guy named Adam LaRoche, Ian Desmond, Denard Span, Anthony Rendon, and myself. And we started every Tuesday home game Bible study. And we started it with every baseball team has a team chaplain. It's not a Catholic chaplain. He's supposed to be non-denominational. It's typically Protestant based. But anyway, it was a way for us to get closer to the Lord together as a group. It was our Bible study group. And it was much like this. That's what this group kind of has reminded me of, is that group that we had, that tight-knit community. I was telling the guys earlier when I was talking, I said, it's great that you guys get together, because when we're sent out, when we're on our own, it's like the lone wolf. The lone wolf is beatable, right? The devil can attack somebody when they're by themselves. When you think about temptation, you think about sin, and I think about the times where I've really failed, it's been because I've been by myself. It's been because I haven't been with another Christian man, woman, someone to be around me to like, hey, we're together, we're not falling into these temptations, We're out at a bar, no, we're not womanizing, no, we're not getting super drunk. We're just going to have a couple, have some fun, share some camaraderie type of thing. And that's what this group is good for you guys. You guys should tie into this group, because now you guys are a pack. A pack is unbeatable, right? Nobody's going to attack a pack. The devil's scared of this pack. The devil's scared of this room right now. He is gone. He's out of here because you guys are one tight unit. I mean, it gives me chills just thinking about like how big of an impact this group of people can have on this entire community that we live in, right? And that was what happened with those 5 or 6 guys, and we had an impact not only on our team, on the city of Washington, D.C., they had an impact in my personal life too. And it goes back to, I used to not read, right? That Tony Dungy book, after that, I don't think I read a book since then either. And, you'd think God's like, hey, dude, you need to start reading. You need to know my word. And just random thought. Today, I was at St. Nicholas Parish in Osgood Church, and the priest was saying, I got it written down, you cannot give something that you don't have, right? So, if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have wisdom, if you don't have understanding of the Word, of what Jesus gave us all in the Bible, how are you going to spread that to anybody else? He talked about his last words in the book of Matthew, go and make disciples of men, baptizing in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? That's what they call it the Great Commission. That's what we're commanded to do. How are we going to do that if we don't have any tools, if we don't have any understanding, any wisdom to go along to make that happen, right? So this group, 2014, we challenged each other. We challenged each other to get into the Word, to read the Word. And I remember Adam LaRoche also saying, he said, when somebody asks you to speak about your faith, is the first inclination always to say no? Whenever you have to speak in front of people, why is it always the first inclination to say, no, I don't want to do that? Public speaking, no chance, right? And honestly, walking in here, last thing I want to do is publicly speak. But you know what? It's what I've been called to do, right? It's what we challenge each other to get comfortable doing, was being able to speak about our faith, being able to be a disciple, being able to disciple others, being able to spread that knowledge that we're gaining. And part of that was we had a guy with the Arizona Diamondbacks who became a really good friend to all of us also, challenged us to say, hey, you want to read, you want to spend time in the Word, you want to actually make time for it, get up a half hour earlier than you normally do. Get up a half hour earlier than everybody else, before any of the distractions, before anybody sends an email to you, before anybody sends a text message to you, before anybody sends a Snapchat to you, unless they sent it late last night. Get up in the morning, find a quiet spot, and just read. Read the Bible and pray, and spend some time with Jesus. Spend some time getting to know Him, right? And that's what it comes down to. If we know Jesus, if we get to know Him and understand who He was, why He was on earth, and what type of person He was, we're going to become more like Him, right? And if we become more like Him, then other people see that, and then they become more like Him too, because they want to be like you, because Jesus is cool. All right? So that was that. We challenged each other to do that. And I remember it was like August 26th, and I was going through some personal stuff, but this Bible study group was just like had my back. And we decided, like, all right, I needed to make a decision. I was engaged to another girl at the time, and like we had done the marriage prep books and all that, and they hadn't gone well. So they're like, dude, this is a telltale sign that you should not get married. And I'm like, yeah, but we dated for like 10 years. How can I break up, with that whole family? And they're like, we're advising you. I mean, you trust us? We've been together in this group for such a long time. Like, this is the hardest decision I was ever going to have to make in my life. And the only reason I made it is because I had a pack of wolves with me that were able to advise me, to help me make a decision. So I remember that day, I fasted the whole day. We played the Arizona Diamondbacks, playing them at Washington, D.C. Game's going along. I'm starving. I think I had one Gatorade the whole day. And I'm just, I'm thinking of the Lord. I'm thinking of, like, Lord, direct me in my path. What should I do? Should I go along with this wedding, or do I need to call it off? Do I need to make a tough decision? And I think I knew what the right decision was, but I needed something. I needed a little push. So the game's going along, and my role in that team was more of a multi-inning pitcher. I wasn't the closer, wasn't the setup man, so we were a good team. We got the lead early. We kept the lead. Gets to the ninth inning. Our closer's going in the game, and I'm sitting in the bullpen like, yes, I am not going to have to pitch tonight because I am beat. I got no energy, and I'm like, yes, all right, he's going to close this game out. We're going to be just fine. All right, he goes in there. Rafael Soriano, you guys are baseball fans. He's the guy that used to pull his shirt out when he got the save, called untucking it. Anyway, he didn't untuck it that night. He gave up like 3-run home run, tied the game. Now we're going to extra innings. And back then, like when we went to extra innings, like Craig was going in the game. Like I was just that pitcher for our team. I think as a relief pitcher, I had 13 different decisions that year. So I was like 7-6. So half the time I did good, half the time I did bad. Whatever. Anyway, I'm in the game. I'm like, crap, he gave it up. I'm going in the game. I have no energy. This is going to go really bad. So I go out, get in the game. First guy is Miguel Montero, and he owns me, or owned me then. So I walked him, all right? So got him first. I'm like, all right, I can get out of this. Next guy, Mark Trumbo. I throw a pitch, pretty good pitch. He hits a one-hopper, hits me in the butt, goes off the shortstop. He's safe. So first and second, nobody out. All right, next guy is, I'm trying to think who the next batter was. Jordan Pacheco. All right, just a utility infielder, barely played in the big leagues. Throws hanging slider, whack. Like hits it so hard to the left fielder, gets it to him in one hop that the guy from second can't score. All right, that's how hard he hit it. So we got bases loaded, nobody out. I'm in pickle right here. All right, big time pickle. No energy, fasted all day. It's like great job fasting today. Really perfect game to do that. You're gonna lose it for your teammates. So pitching coach comes out. He's like, hey, you're one pitch away. Strike this guy out. Get a double play ball. We'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go. Just hope I throw a strike. All right. So in that moment, I was like, all right, you know what? I fasted all day, Lord. Like, hop on my back. Like, show me the way. Here's the wheel. You do what you want. And I don't know. This is the weirdest thing happened, but the next guy strikes out on 3 pitches. The next guy strikes out on 4 pitches. The next guy grounds out the second on the first pitch. So I'm out of the inning, no runs, and we get to hit and come up the next inning. I'm like, holy smokes. I walked off the mound, and it was like I was on cloud nine. I was like, hell yes. It's the coolest feeling, too, because when you feel the power of God, it's weird that I can tell this about a baseball game, but when you feel that power, you feel like you are unstoppable. And walking off that mound, I was unstoppable. It's like Peter walking on the water, right? I was walking off the mound like I was walking on the water. All right? Then I got to the dugout, and then I started thinking about, dude, you got to pitch another inning if we don't score. And I'm beat, like no energy, like I'm out of gas. There's no shot that I'll give up runs next inning. So I'm sitting in the dugout, and Adam LaRoche, who was the leader of our Bible study, one of my biggest Christian mentors, comes up to the plate with 2 outs. I'm sitting in the dugout, like, if he strikes out or gets out, like, I got to run back out there. And Adam LaRoche, believe it or not, so going back, my rookie year, my major league debut, Adam LaRoche got the first ever hit off me, and he hit the first ever home run I gave up. So he was a part of my life, and I didn't even know it. And then he became kind of the guy I looked up to the most as a Christian ball player. And he steps up to the plate, guy throws him a curveball, the same curveball I threw him that he hit a home run on, this guy, and he whacks it, and it goes off the second deck of the outfield. And I just sat in the dugout, the power of Jesus Christ. You know, he could have been any other hitter, but it was Alan Roach, the guy that, you know, pushed us to start to get in the Word, to tap into that power that we have as believers in Jesus Christ. All right, so those are three instances where throughout my baseball career, Jesus has kind of, you know, showed me the way. You know, he's pushed, like I said, pushed me all in to do the daily reading, the fasting, the praying, sitting up here in front of you guys speaking. You know, we're all here for a reason. You know, you guys sitting in these seats, you're specifically here for a reason. I don't know why you showed up today or your reasoning for showing up. You know, you guys could have stayed home and watched the Bengals lose again. You know, I don't know if they did or not. Maybe they won. I'm hoping they won, right? I don't know. Anybody see the final score?
They're down 17-10.
The Bengals are not worse than the Browns. But anyway, you know, you guys got to think the chair that you're sitting in right now, you're specifically there for a reason. You know, God put me specifically here for a reason. 10 years ago, if you asked me if I was speaking to this type of group of people right now, I'd probably say no, heck no, no chance. But we're all here, right? And we're all here for a reason. One thing I want to, the kind of the paradigm shift that I want to talk about that baseball has taken me from is early on when I was a younger kid, I thought baseball was over here and my faith was over here and my family was over here and whatever. You can put the pie chart together and make everything separate, right? Okay. Another way to describe it is a wheel. Okay, so we'll think of a big tractor wheel since we're in Mercer County, right? Okay. My family sold farm equipment, so it's not a John Deere. It's a Massey Ferguson, all right, or a New Holland. Okay, not John Deere. Get that through your head. So big tractor tire. All right. Now think of the wheel well. All right. The wheel well, you can put yourself in that wheel well, right? And then make the tractor tire into like some pies, all right? And you can make them into compartments. You can put your family in one. You can put your school in one. You can put your work in one. You can put your personal life in one. You can put your finances in one. You guys probably aren't worried about finances yet, but you're getting there. All right, you can put that all on your pie chart, and if you put yourself in the center, right, you're going to be able to kind of handle it a little bit, all right, but it's going to be out of whack. You know, that tire's going to be a little wobbly. You're going to get a bumpy ride at times, right? Because we all know we can't do it all on our own. We need some help, all right? Now, switch yourself out, which is kind of what my baseball career has kind of taught me, is like, early on I just relied on myself, my own talents, my own gifts to like get there. Like, I'm Craig Stammen. I can get anybody out, right? And now it's turned into like, I pray on the mountain. Like I'm telling, step on the mountain, I have to pray when I step on the rubber. You know, I pray 2 different prayers. You know, the Lord did not give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And, you know, that makes me strong when I'm out there on the mountain. On Sundays when I receive Holy Communion, I'm on the mountain, like I got the power of the risen Christ inside me, right? Took that, he's inside me. Think about how strong I am. Stronger than any batter that wants to come to the plate, right? All right? So you take yourself, you replace yourself in the middle of that wheel, and you put God in the middle of that wheel, right? And then what happens to all those pieces on the pie chart, right? They get pumped into with God. God is breathing into all that, right? Now you've got a smooth tire that just kind of rolls along, right? And then we kind of get off kilter and we put ourselves back in, all right? Then it bobbles around, you know, life's not great. And they're like, God, I need you. And then you put God in the middle again, and then you start rolling again, right? Okay? So I want you guys to think about, you know, just right now, just for a little bit, think about the pieces in your life that are maybe a little out of whack, struggling with, right? And just think about how you can put God into those different little pieces, right? You know, we prayed at the beginning to let all the anxieties, all the worry, all that kind of stuff go away, all right? What if you breathed God into all those different worries, all that anxiety? And I know as young people, you're always thinking about different things. You're thinking about, you know, who likes you? What do I get along with my friends? You know, what job am I going to have when I'm done with college? How am I going to get a job? You know, who's going to hire me? How am I going to finish school? How am I going to pay for school? All that jazz. That stuff's going through you guys' heads right now. How can you surrender to the Lord and say, Lord, I know you're going to take care of me, right? You know, he talks about when he's telling the disciples about the Our Father, you know, how to pray. He gives an analogy of a father giving his children a fish. He says, what father would give his son a snake when he asks for a fish, right? And you think the Father in heaven, he's not going to give you a snake. He's going to give you as many fish as you need, right? We just got to tap into that power. We got to commit to Him, commit to becoming more like Jesus, all right? And I'm here, just a kid from North Star, just like the rest of you guys, right? Baseball happened to be my avenue where God showed Himself to me, right? You guys have plenty of things that you are great at, have avenues that are interested in who you are. Allow God to show Himself through what you guys are doing right now, all right? And this group right here is a great start. So give your guys self a round of applause for being here, because this is awesome. That's all I got. I've talked enough. You guys got any questions? You guys can ask me anything. You can ask me about baseball. You can ask me about football. But I'll answer any questions you guys want. Advice, I don't know if it'll be good, but I'll do my best. If not, I think you guys got a video you're going to watch. Right?
Yeah. See them around.